SmackDown last week was not a particularly good wrestling show. At least I didn't think. A few people said they enjoyed it, and that made me happy because I want you to be happy. I'm not an absolutely crazy person. I don't know whether WWE took that under advisement. Not me saying that, but there was a general consensus. We got to this week's episode of SmackDown, and there were two very specific things. Well, three technically, but there was two kind of surprises that I didn't see coming that I thought really put SmackDown on a better trajectory for the rest of the year, especially because War Games is very, very close. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Also, please do subscribe if you are here. My name is Simon Miller. I'm somewhat of a bald idiot, as I do like to call myself. And of course, you go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Simon316. We are doing watch-alongs all of the time. It costs about $5. There's other tiers as well that you can check out. We're going on a bit of a John Cena-a-thon at the moment because why wouldn't we do that? But I shall bid you adieu for now, at least for the intro. Let's talk about SmackDown. Now, the biggest surprise of the night, of course, was Matt Cardona versus Zack Ryder returning to WWE in the John Cena The Last Time Is Now tournament, as ever it rolls off the tongue. I just thought it was awesome. I have been very fortunate to, I don't know Matt Cardona very well, but I've had a few interviews with him. We've had a few chats. We've kind of had a few conversations. He's a super good dude. And what he's done on the independent scene has been brilliant. Like I tell you, if you go back to 2020, I think he got released, and you told somebody that Matt Cardona / Zack Ryder, who was at the time, was going to do what he did do in GCW and the death match, becoming the king of the indies, I don't think anybody would have believed you. And much in the same way that people looked at Drew McIntyre and was like, oh, that's what you got to do now once you get released from WWE. I think Matt Cardona has carved out his own path as well and just proved that he loved wrestling. I really don't mind if somebody gets fired or leaves WWE and decides they don't want to do wrestling anymore. Cool. Awesome. That's fine. Some people go, oh, they weren't passionate enough to begin with. They don't have to be. Like, it's their life. They're allowed to do whatever the flub they want. We only get one of these. Whereas Matt Cardona loves it so much, he reinvented himself, came up with new ideas, came up with new gimmicks, kept himself relevant constantly for 4 or 5 years, whatever the flub it is, especially during the pandemic, which made it even more crazy. He did AEW, he did TNA, again, he did all these indies. He really has quite the incredible journey. Again, he's always at conventions and selling merchandise and pushing himself and obviously using social media. Without what he did back in 2011, maybe none of us would be here today. I think it's always important to say that. So, to get the big reaction, to take on LA Knight, he's just what I love about it, he's lost. I bet he didn't care that he lost. Like, yeah, fine, I'll take the opportunity and I'll get it done. As we talked about in a video the other day, if a company rings me up right now and says, Simon, we're going to be wherever we're going to be, and you have to get squashed in 2 seconds, sign me up. I really like the fact it was LA Knight as well. I don't know why, but I see a similarity in between them. Not really with styles. I don't know. There's just a connection there in my brain, which could be absolutely nonsense, which would probably be fair. But I think this was the right thing to do. I think it makes the John Cena tournament more fun. We had predicted this, so that makes me feel warm fuzzy in my tum-tum. Get the t-shirt right now, Pro Wrestling Tees. I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, I loved it. And again, the other stupid thing I saw on social media was when he once said if he went back to WWE, he'd never be Zack Ryder. Grow up. He's allowed to say something and change his mind. And I said this on Ups and Downs over at What Culture, where I freelance for as well, for the reviews. If somebody rings you up and offers you an opportunity, don't die on that hill. What a crappy hill to die on, man. Go and embrace the opportunity. Go and do something with your life. Even if this had been the worst match of all time, it wasn't. It was very entertaining. It would still have been the correct thing to do. I really did like it. And now, yes, LA Knight goes on to round 2 of the John Cena tournament. Is there a round 2 of the John Cena tournament? You don't know. I don't know. But where WWE doesn't know, there is no brackets. Maybe round 2 is the finals. Maybe they all get to take on John Cena in a 9-on-1 match, whatever the flub it would be. It can't be an odd number. That doesn't make any sense. But I just really, really like this. And I like the fact that he hit the unprettier, whatever the flub we're calling it these days, which is Chelsea Green's move. LA Knight kicking out the Rough Rider. Probably could have done without that. But it's different when you get a surprise. And I'm now convinced that the one on Monday for Solo Sikoa, is it? I think that's right, is going to be Joe Hendry. I just think that's the best 1-2 punch. It could be a Dolph Ziggler too. I've kind of got this weird vision in my brain now. I would assume that John Cena is not going to be in War Games. I thought we were going to do the All-Star team, which means he may need an opponent at Survivor Series. What do we do at WrestleMania that worked very well? We let into Joe, who apparently has just been signed by WWE officially. Congrats to that guy. What an inspiration. So he could do it. And then he'll cap off the greatest debut here of all time. Surprise WrestleMania, surprise Royal Rumble. And he said he was going to get the John Cena match, and he did. But we wait and see. I still think being a surprise, especially because it's Madison Square Garden, you can argue that's an even bigger moment. But yeah, love the Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona stuff. Warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Super happy for the guy. Whether he signed or not, I don't know. He does have merchandise on WWE Shop. But either way, if life is about embracing the moments and taking every single day as it comes, Friday the 14th of November was a good one for him. And I also consider the Drew McIntyre return at the end of the show a surprise. I know that's not a massive one, but I thought he'd been suspended. I mean, definitely to take him out of the John Cena tournament, but I assumed there would be at least a couple of weeks before we saw him again. I did start to get an inkling that he may be in War Games once we did all the stuff on Raw, because it just made all the sense in the world with his feud with Cody Rhodes. But what I really liked, and they got me, right? I have to hold my hands up here. When Paul Heyman and Nick Aldis had that chat backstage and Heyman was like, well, it's any person from any roster, any whatever. I was like, it's always that. What are you talking about? Why are you making this strange, I don't even know, edict to the world? We don't need to hear this speech. Nobody cares. But then it turned out, of course, Drew McIntyre is suspended, which allowed him to get round the suspension, and SmackDown ended with Nick Aldis going, why would you do this to me? And Paul Heyman was all like, man, I'm just, like a rogue dealer-wheeler, or wheeler-dealer, I should say. And I sorted it out. Of course, Drew McIntyre destroys all the baby faces that was Cody and the Usos. CM Punk wasn't there, so you probably should watch the show and understand how WWE ends all of its programming, which also meant the Vision, if we just call it that for now. Obviously Paul Heyman, and then Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker, Logan Paul and Drew. And of course Logan Paul and Drew do have that connection before because they did the tag team stuff, so that's kind of nice. I do like Drew McIntyre in the War Games. I hope he gets booked to be an absolute destroyer. A bit worried he'll be booked to take the pin, given how WWE treats him. But this was good. It was a nice surprise. And when I saw all the pieces falling together, I was like, oh, that's a good story. And I didn't pick up on it, right? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It doesn't have to be sort of the greatest thing you've ever seen, but something that works, something that obviously ties into the pay-per-view, the PLE, the Survivor Series, the War Games. That was a couple of thumbs for me, and I thought it ended SmackDown on a good note, which was important because before then I rolled my eyes. Because as soon as Cody Rhodes and Bronson Reed got announced, they fell out during the same kind of chat with Paul Heyman. Cody Rhodes walked in, he was talking about fire, because everybody on SmackDown loves fire. And Bronson Reed was like, I'll beat you up, Cody, because I can't do that accent at all. And they announced it as a WWE title match. I was like, it's very, very odd. But the issue was I couldn't get pumped for it, aside from the fact that I loved the match itself, because I think Bronson Reed is great and Cody is the man. But I just knew how it was going to end. Now, in Survivor Series War Games season, you can have run-ins, distractions, interference, and confusion. That makes all the sense in the world. But when you instantly know the SmackDown main event is going to end in a DQ, in some kind of a schmoz, it really does take the happiness off the pudding. Stupidest thing that I've ever said. WWE needs to get away with it. Like, I may sit down, I've been doing a counter on ups and downs, but I might actually sit down and work out what the percentage of amounts of main events on television ended like this. I think it has to be way too many, because honestly, that was my gut reaction. Instantly, well, we're not going to get a finish. And if you know that you're not going to get a finish, it's really difficult to get into the match. I also had a small pet peeve with this as well, because Bronson went for the tsunami, and it didn't feel as much for me, because Logan Paul is no-selling that thing. How is Logan Paul, of all people, allowed to do that? Something has slipped through the cracks here. He at least should be on the outside in a wheelchair or something for a while. But no, we've just totally ignored that. I actually would have gone, as bad as it is, for the whole, oh man, I didn't really hit him with the tsunami. I pulled it back, which wouldn't be possible, because Bronson Reed is a massive man. So I would love to see a proper feud between Cody and Bronson. I actually like the work they did do. It's super quick in the early going, because I think they knew the fast ending was coming. But that missed tsunami looked good, then Cody was coming back. Bronson also hit him with the jacket edge, which was his finishing move for about 2 weeks, so he just moved on. There's a lot of strange stuff going on, but I do understand this. I understand why they did it. It's because we're put into War Games, so we have to get Cody involved here. We have to get Bronson Reed and the Vision doing all their thing. Obviously, Jimmy Uso just threw story out the window this week. He just walked up and went, oh, hi, I talked to CM Punk on the phone, and I'm in the War Games. Like, oh, are you? Are you telling the truth? And that's when I assumed, okay, John Cena's not going to be in. Also means LA Knight's not going to be in. It could be. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we have to wait until he get thrown out of the tournament. Who is it? Oh, I missed someone here. It's the Usos, it's Cody Rhodes, CM Punk. There is one more. Am I missing someone? I don't think so. Surely it's LA Knight. It could be John Cena. I feel like there's someone else. Or Roman. That's who I'm thinking of. See, I don't think LA Knight gets in. LA Knight's been feuding with the Vision the entire year, basically. I'm exaggerating. Weird. Something weird is going on there, but again, we wait and see. But yes, less of the nonsense is what I would say. However, actually, there was anti-nonsense at the start, and I thought that was really good. Because Rhea Ripley and Io Sky comes out because who needs a brand split? And they're all like, oh, we don't care about numbers games. Last Legend, Nia Jackson, Kabuki Warriors. We got Charlotte Bliss and Alexa Flair. It's not their names. I've just mixed around for some reason. And Alexa's all like, oh, I can't wait to be in War Games. Also scary, scary War Games. And Charlotte's like, no, we know we talked about this. I can't do it. I can't get past it. I don't like you, Rhea Ripley. And she left. Brilliant. Awesome. That's good storytelling. That's good characterization. WWE, especially sort of in that 2010 to 2020 period, was all like, well, actually, forever, even back in the 80s, was like, oh, we're baby faces, so we'll be friends. Why? Why do all baby faces have to be friends? And why do all heels have to, like, hate each other? That doesn't make any sense. These are still real people. And I don't want to call it shades of grey, because that's a little bit redundant these days. But if you have somebody that is fighting the bad guys and therefore you can accept them as a hero, they should still be complicated people as and when it needs to happen. And why do all these storylines if we're not going to remember them? We're not going to use that as building blocks for the future. Well, you all remember the stuff between Charlotte and Rhea. They did get a little bit hoity-toity. I imagine Tiffany Stratton was in this. Her and Charlotte have to hate each other. There is no way all of a sudden they can be buddy-buddy. So I massively like that. And of course, later on, the Rhea Ripley and Io Sky got beaten up. And I presume that Charlotte Flair will do it because she made it very clear that Alexa Bliss is now her friend. And sometimes also the enemy of my enemy is my pal and all that kind of nonsense. And that's not right. The enemy of my friend is whatever the hell that stupid saying is. But I really like that. I think it's a nice story beat. It does separate it from the men's because, of course, we have to do 2 Blood and Guts. We have to do 2 War Games. But nonetheless, I like that a lot. I didn't see it coming. And that makes Charlotte Flair this super interesting and intriguing character, right? She doesn't just skip through life going, oh, I don't remember what happened in the past, especially because she just did lose her tag team title, so she should be more annoyed about this. I still think she'll be in the thing. Although if WWE goes all the way and takes her out entirely, yes, that's a brilliant character, man. Someone that actually stands by their morals, because you could get annoyed with her for not teaming with the baby faces, but actually she believes this. That's a stance, and we should respect people that take stances. So that segment was about 5 minutes long. It wasn't very, very big. And listen, I love Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, but the promo was a little bit strange before we got there. But that was good stuff, all in all. It makes that much better. That's absolutely a couple of thumbs. And of course, Ilya Dragunov and who was it this week? Axiom tried to kill each other. I don't think we need to go into this to any great degree. You should go and watch it. Nobody thought Axiom was going to win, but that's not the point of the US Open Challenge. The DDT that Axiom did was ridiculous. One German suplex was just crazy. The finish was nuts too. It's like the strongest torpedo Moscow and H-bomb you ever seen in your life. We are building to a Tommaso Ciampa versus Ilya Dragunov feud. Like before their match, Ilya was like, I cannot possibly take you on, Tommaso. You have no honor. I'm not going to make my anime joke again. I've already made it once. Makes no sense because he fought Johnny Gargano, has zero honor, who let his wife be thrown through a table and still tried to grab a belt in a TLC match. But I like Tommaso Ciampa, and obviously he beat everybody up afterwards. I don't think he'll do that on pay-per-view, but I think they'll have a really, really good match. And I wouldn't mind Tommaso Ciampa winning. It depends what you're going to do with the tag team division at the moment. I mean, the Wyatt Six appeared after we did announce that we're getting a Survivor Series match that I'll talk about later. The tag team division needs to be merged together. If Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are going to turn up on Raw, and we've got all these SmackDown guys on Raw because of the John Cena tournament, end the brand split, stop talking about it, especially because apparently SmackDown's about to go back to 3 hours. We'll talk about that more when it gets confirmed. Just throw one together and then push the tag team titles together, right? It doesn't work. It's a mess in many ways. Like, we changed the belts for the styles of Dragon Styles on Raw. They got no opponents. That's basically what Adam Pearce said. Well, I'd love to book you, but I don't know anybody that you can have a match against. So we should do that, right? I can't remember what we're talking about now. The US title challenge was good. Yeah, that Survivor Series match. Sami Zayn cut a promo. He hates the MFTs, but he's cleared. Out comes Nakamura. Out come the Machine Guns. They all have a fight with the MFTs. And then Nick Aldis announces the SmackDown before Survivor Series. We're getting a traditional Survivor Series elimination match. We should have done that on the pay-per-view. I don't understand why it has to be on SmackDown. I guess we have 5 matches confirmed. We're not allowed to do more than 5 matches. But I am glad that these are back. Like, I don't mind the War Game stipulation, but I don't see why you have to throw the other one out as well. The Sami Zayn solo stuff is fine, but it's a little bit laboured. This actually made it feel very, very interesting. And it's really interesting too because I love Sami Zayn and Solo. They're 2 of my favourites. Solo Sikoa, he's my man. He's my boy. He's my 2025 dude. But it just did need something like this, maybe just to give it more appeal. So I was totally down for that. And I think it'll be really, really good. What we do with Sami Zayn in 2026, it kind of feels to me like Sami Zayn is treading water right now because eventually he will go after the World Championship. But after the Seth Rollins stuff, I'd imagine we'd have to have changed a lot. But yeah, it worked. It worked for what it was. And I just find Solo Sikoa so entertaining because he's a mad person, essentially. And we also got Jey Uso versus The Miz in round 1 of the John Cena The Last Time Is Now Can You Win John Cena tournament. It was perfectly fine. Some people act like this is the worst thing ever. Not every match has to be a banger. Not every match has to be main event quality. Sometimes just send 2 guys out there that know what they're doing, do some moves. The Miz did the 5-knuckle shuckle and the John Cena comeback. Jey Uso kicked out the skull-crushing finale. That was a little bit over the top in a first-round match, but whatever. That's what WWE does. Jey Uso gets the splash, 1, 2, 3. That's all it needs to be. Hopefully we get a bracket and we have some interesting matchups for the potential round 2. But there's so much doom and gloom sometimes. Like, you are just allowed to go out there when we have 52 weeks of programming a year. And even more when you bring in the other shows, just to do a very passable 3 out of 5 average match in order to progress stories. If every match is brilliant, then no matches are brilliant. You know this. I'm not going to mention, it's the same old accounts all the time who, and I don't believe in this, but sometimes they push my buttons. But because I do wrestle, this is why I struggle to say it, of course you're allowed your opinion. You do not need to wrestle to have an opinion on wrestling, right? I don't cook very, very well. I don't need to have an opinion on the food that I eat. Well, I don't like it. I'm allowed to say that. But sometimes when people rag on matches like this, I'm like, you need to go to one training session and understand how hard it actually is to put this stuff together. It just really, really winds me up. That could be a me problem and something that I need to work through. But when I see people ragging on this stuff, I'm like, you just don't get it, right? You don't get it. That doesn't mean you have to like the match. But when you start picking it apart from a technical point of view, I'm like, disagree. So you go over there and I won't talk to you otherwise. But that was basically SmackDown. Maybe I've missed some stuff, but I think the big things were really big and a lot of stuff kind of just passed us by. But it was better than last week, and that is an absolute improvement. We also had a tease between Damian Priest and Aleister Black with the Aleister Black video, and this is where I can be a little bit of a hypocrite with the 3-hour thing, because they do need more time. The feud doesn't have any momentum because it's not allowed to. They come and go. And what was that thing with Aleister Black and Cody last week? Just totally bizarre, totally out of nowhere. So I just find 3-hour wrestling shows too much to watch, especially if you're going to be like me and you're going to watch Dynamite and Collision and Raw and the pay-per-views. It just kind of feels like sometimes wrestling has taken over your life. Now, I'm very blessed because, again, I have this platform and people pay me to cover the show, so I'm not going to complain, but I also like to try and make sure I remove that hat because I want to try and watch it from how other people are watching it. And I would imagine if I was trying to get through this just for my hobby, the thought of SmackDown going to 3 hours would make me go, oh no, please no. But I want to be proven wrong. I want WWE to prove no, actually it is better at 3 hours. I wonder why they're doing it. I don't like talking about ratings because it's boring, but this new Nielsen system has totally screwed up ratings for everything now. Do they think an extra hour is going to be the sort of balance to that? I don't know, but we'll wait and see. It could be an interesting discussion point, but let me know what you think. And when you're done with that, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Drop me a comment below because you may have things you want to say on SmackDown that I haven't thought about. Just interact as much as possible and make sure you check out all my videos. I'd appreciate about that. There'll be one on the screen right now. Otherwise, if you're into your fitness supplements, now is the time to go to grillermind.com/Simon. Use the code Simon. It's their Black Friday sale, or Black November sale, whatever it's called, November Happy Days. Crazy stuff. I think there's 40% off today. I'm only trying to push this because I think that they are the best supplements and I believe in them. So if you've been waiting to try, now is the time to do it and use my code Simon. Like I say, you'll get crazy savings. So it's important to me, maybe not to you, I don't know. Talked about Patreon. Come say hello to Simon at 316. Otherwise, I've got Cameo, got a TikTok, got a Pro Wrestling Tees store where you can buy stuff like this. We've already talked about it. More importantly, no pay-per-views this weekend. So have a great weekend. See you soon.